Hi everyone, welcome to the Jack and Joe show. After yet another Fulham win, we had to do another video and keep the good times going. Jack Kelly, how you doing?
Yeah, really well after Saturday. One of the best aways this season, if not ever.
Wow, that is
Mm,
huge. I mean, it's a shame that we only took apparently 3 fans because looked like a great day out. I was gutted that I couldn't be there, but you know what? At least QPR took 10 million to Coventry. I'm sure they had a fantastic day, and all credit to them. Quite a good win. But we're here to talk
mm,
about Fulham. I guess we should start straight away, get straight into it. The news comes out around half an hour before the team news does that Mitrovic hasn't travelled. There was a
mm.
couple of murmurings about COVID. It hasn't been confirmed, but it looks like he was ill either way. Wilson looks the same. I mean, when I saw that team news, I've got to say I was a little bit worried. I know we've got a good squad, but Stoke away, a tough test. We know that in any year, but especially this year when they've actually been doing quite well.
Mm,
What were you thinking when you saw that team and you saw that Muniz and Bobby Reed, don't get me wrong, two very good players, and they proved that,
mm.
were in for arguably our two best attackers?
In all honesty, I was more worried about the Wilson being absent than Mitrovic due to just the sheer playmaking player that Harry Wilson is. Mitrovic, of course, I love him to bits. My favourite Fulham player of all time, definitely. But with him not scoring on Tuesday night, I wasn't as concerned. Obviously, we want all our players to be fit and well, and hopefully they'll be back for Saturday or maybe the game against Manchester City. Um, but yeah, no, Bobby Reed Bobby D Cordova Reed and Rodrigo Muniz starting. I thought this is a big chance for Muniz, and to be 1-0 down within 40 seconds was not ideal. But Joe, what a game of football! Honestly, it was really quite enthralling and just quite funny as well. Just a really good day. And yeah, so when we got into the pub and we saw the team news, or I think we're on the escorted coach to the ground, which was very fun. Um, a couple of raised eyebrows, but then we're thinking, okay, let's just see what we can do under pressure against a Stoke team who are going to be pushing for the playoffs without two of our key talismen. And I thought we stood up to the heat very well and came out 3-2 winners, which was huge in significance to the table because, well, we'll talk about Bournemouth later. I definitely really want to get into it. But Joe, I was delighted. How did you consume the game at 3 p.m. on Saturday?
So, well, firstly, just to say, I can't believe they're still doing the escorted coach
Mm,
to the ground because I went in the year we got relegated, 2014,
mm,
and we sold out that day. You know, we took 3K, whatever, and we had it. And I thought, oh, maybe they just do it if you take a lot of fans. But it sounds like they just do it every game, and it's a bit bizarre to
mm.
me. But I guess Fulham are terrifying and massive. Um,
You never know.
so I consumed the game. So I got in and checked my phone. And I just missed the kickoff. And what do you know? It's already 1-1. So that was a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
I managed to find a stream which was fantastic. And when the third goal went in, I've got to say that's as much as I've celebrated a goal all season. It felt massive. It felt big. Um, One of those ones where I think it's been covered everywhere, and I think everyone's on the same page where this felt better than the 7-0 and the 6-2s. Like,
Mm,
it felt better to have had a really challenging game where I think a team in in the past, a Fulham team I think would have maybe crumbled under the pressure. The atmosphere there, especially after Stoke equalised, seemed. I mean, you were there, so I'm sure you can say quite intense. The momentum I would
mm,
say briefly at least was with them at the start of the second half and maybe the first half of the second half. Um, and it just felt like that's a sort of game that, let alone a promoted team, that champions find a way. Your
mm.
best players missing, you find a way, pegged back, and already you were behind after 40 seconds, whatever it was. Champions find a way to turn it around, and we did that. And even the couple of Stoke chances at the end, we stood firm. Maybe a little bit lucky with the one that hit the post, but
Mm.
really, what a weird goal that would have been, the way it just trickled towards the
Bizarre, yeah.
line. But I was impressed with the performance. Um, I was very, very impressed with Muniz, who I've got to say I've loved since he arrived, but I've worried slightly about if he was ready to like lead the line, because when we saw him against Derby and at Bristol City and Leeds in the Cup, whilst I've been impressed, I just don't know if he was at the sort of, obviously you're not going to be at the same level as Mitrovic, but I didn't know if he offered us as much to the team. Completely proved me wrong. He was brilliant, and his hold
Mm.
up play, his movement. Worth pointing out that he went up against Jagielka for Derby earlier in the season, and he had a few chances against him, but he couldn't quite get the better of him. That first goal, 2 minutes in, turned him like he wasn't there and fired it into the top corner. 3 high quality goals.
Yes, really good goals from Fulham, and you're most vulnerable when you've just scored, and
Yeah,
that came into fruition with. I mean, we have to talk, and I would actually just love to spend the whole episode talking about Harrison Reed's performance. Um, but his driving run, like when you like concede a goal and you normally just pass it around the back and you try and gather a little bit of momentum and try and get that energy back and sort of focus again. But like Fulham have done time and time again in the last month, when we concede, we're just like, right, let's just go and score. And it's sort of like funny because it's like, we make it look so easy when actually it's really challenging to kick off a game and try and attack straight from the outset. And Harrison Reed drives that ball forward. He's going somewhere, but I'm thinking, where's your option? Where's your option? And then he looks up, he finds Muniz, and this is just like an unbelievable goal on the turn because
yeah,
the angle of which he needs to get that in, it has to be a pinpoint, and he hits it. It's sort of like a hit and hope on the turn, but the execution is unbelievable. Goes top bins. We just can't believe it because we've just gone 1-0 down, and I'm looking around thinking, how on earth is it 1-1? We played like 2.5 minutes or something. It was
yeah.
it was so funny. And we were right by the Stoke fans, as in not right by them. We were like the last line of people before the big old
The last line of
seats.
defence.
Yeah, and then the Stoke fans, we were giving it all that. The stewards were brilliant. I think like the stewards were so funny because they kind of understood the situation. Oh, we need to win. We were kind of chatting with them, saying, "Oh, a big game for us," and they didn't really care. They were just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
we're just gonna." So we just go, and they were too far away for any trouble to happen. But great goal, really good goal, and we have to talk about the second goal because that was Huddersfield away, like Jack Stradley said on the podcast. Huddersfield away 2.0, but this was even funnier because it was like, what's just happened? And we went 2-1 up, and the ball's in the net, and you hear this delay of like 3 or 4 seconds, and then there's this cheer, and it's just the most bizarre thing because nobody in that away knew the goal was in, Joe. And obviously, because you're watching it on an angle, my
yeah,
doorbell's just gone, so I just got distracted. You're watching it on the camera angle, so you know the ball's in.
yeah.
But we had no idea, and it was the funniest thing ever.
And it was the reaction of the players as well, because there's a second where all the Stoke players sort of put their hands up and say it's offside. So even if it had gone in, you're probably thinking, "Oh, that's not going to stand." Um,
Right.
there is one thing, right, and this is ultimate nerd central, but is going to annoy me for the rest of my life about this goal, is that Muniz scores it, right? You
Yeah.
can't tell at the time, but there's a great vlog where you can see the angle and he just touches it in. I'm not even sure Carvalho's strike is actually finding the corner. It looks like it might be drifting onto the post or just
Yeah.
wide. It's been given as Carvalho's goal.
Yeah.
And I sort of, this is so nerdy. I sort of keep a tally of like players that have scored and got assists in the season. I just sort of like note it down. I just enjoy that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know who to give it to now because it's been given as Carvalho's, but I
Officially,
know
yeah.
in my head that Moon has scored it. So frustrating. But one thing we should say about this goal, Carvalho, he makes this goal. No matter who scored it, he creates it. The ball through to Bobby D, Cordova Reed, fantastic. Then following the run, they say this on the podcast, and it's true. You have to follow the ball once you've played it. He's not standing waiting for something to happen. And this is what I like about Carvalho so much. In the Premier League last season, I feel like we were passing the ball around, whether it's a system, the players, the manager, we were waiting for something to happen. And
No
yes, this
runners.
is a lower division. Carvalho makes something happen. He's not waiting for someone else to do it. Drive with the ball, play it through, take the shot. He will do anything. He's on the turn all the time, ready to drive us forward. And this goal, I think, summed him up. And his performance was fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. This is
Mm.
a Stoke team that is so physical And that's not just stereotypical Stoke. Their defence is quite strong. Players like Jagielka, Harwood Bellis, on loan from Manchester City, James Chester, who didn't have the best game but is very experienced. He
Mm.
played him in the playoff final against Villa. Um, it's just the sort of team where you think that a player of his stature physically would struggle, but he really turned it on and he was fantastic again.
He's so good. And obviously, you know, Fabrizio Romano and tweeting about Liverpool's interest, like that doesn't help. That sort of gets me worried. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. The kid has got to just think about his future here. And he's got a spot in this team. He's not going anywhere unless he gets a horrific injury. Touch wood, he doesn't, because he's a marvelous player at this level. That spot is his. And if we do go up, touch wood again, and we keep the same system, he's going to be in and around the squad. He's minimum benched, been benched, and we get in a new 10. But I think he's good enough for the level. He proved it, away at Southampton, albeit we're already relegated, whatever. But, this kid's just going to get better and better and better. And there was that amazing run he made in the second half where he burst past two players into the box. And I think he fired the shot across, or he had a shot. But he crossed it into the box, to the byline. But just amazing skill and pace to get there. And Joe, it was one of those games that was, 6 minutes going up, and I got up my timer and started showing everyone, this is how long we got left, guys. Just hold out. And I have to say, I know we've kind of skipped past the equaliser and Bobby decalled over Reed's goal and the winner, but Anthony Knockaert, I can't believe I'm sitting here and I'm saying that Knockaert, he's done the best job here, because all he's got to do is just keep the possession of the ball. And I think that was one of the best, and I've said this before because it's happened before, one of the best game management examples you can see from seeing out added time under pressure. Didn't panic, lost the ball a couple of times, but Robinson instantly won that ball back. And then Knockaert down the right with Kearney, and it was just very, very, very comfortable. And we won the corner, and that was it. The time was up, and we took the short corner. It was nervy times, especially with Hull winning as well, 1-0. Of course, we'll come on to that in a second. But how did you feel during that added time? Because I thought we played it really, really well.
Surprisingly calm. I mean, as calm as you can be when you're winning by a goal and it's added time and it's so big, because there's always the doubt in the back of your mind that something can happen. But Stoke had a couple of good chances just before that added time was announced. But then once we got into that period, I thought we dealt with it so well. It reminded me quite significantly of, just in terms of the comparison, the Millwall away game earlier this season when we'd been in control for the whole game. Very different to this one. Millwall got that goal back and then added time. We were dealing with it so well until the very last second when a cross went in. Gazaniga sort of half fumbled it and they had a good chance of equalising Millwall.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that, but we saw it through the entire way. And that's what I want to see from Fulham, where the entire of added time, we were in control. We passed the ball around with precision and just kept it away from Stoke, and the time was running down and their morale was going down. And then, as you say, we dealt with it in the corner like we dealt with it in the corner at Aston Villa in 2013-14, where I think Dejaga won about 10 corners in injury time, which is just fantastic value for money, worth the entry fee alone. It was good. It was a professional performance from start to finish. The fact that we came back twice from huge setbacks and then the added time, just cherry on the cake. That's the game management I want to see. It's the side of Fulham that we don't always see, and players coming off the bench like Natty Chabs, like Knockaert, like you said, all performing very, very well. And it was it's a squad game. It's not 11 players. It's a squad game, the Championship, more so than other leagues. And the strength of this squad, I think, is going to see us through. But we have to talk now about Bournemouth, because the Bobby D Cordova-Reid goal goes in at the same time, down the road, well, very far down the road from Stoke in Bournemouth. Hull take the lead, and the contrast of us and Bournemouth both gaining a point and we're 5 points ahead to suddenly being 8 points ahead is just absolutely massive. I'm sure that the news filtered through quite quickly at the Bet365.
Yeah, there was some serious excitement in that end when Hull scored, because I was sort of like, every 10 minutes or so, being the paranoid guy I am, kept turning around to my brother and going, "What's the Bournemouth score? Is it still 0-0?" He goes, "Yeah, it's still 0-0." Thinking, okay, that's good. We're winning at the time. I think, okay, great. We can get, either they draw, we get a couple of points over
Yeah,
them.
gain a couple of points. Yeah, that'd have been happy days, wouldn't it?
And then the news comes through. By the way, a great goal from Fulham
Oh
from
yeah,
another set
fantastic.
piece. Muniz's header is amazing. He's so unlucky not to score. What a finish from Bobby D. Cordova-Reid. So yeah, we score. Everyone goes crazy. Brilliant. Look at my phone again. 1-0 Hull. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Haven't even looked at the stats or anything. I watched the highlights back this weekend, and from what I can tell from the game, Bournemouth had the best of it in the first half. In the second half, they were really poor, really, really poor. And Hull scored a really good goal in Longman, who sort of won it, and then he cut in, he cut in and hit it top bins, and Hull obviously saw the game out, and that's 2 wins in 2 over Blackburn and Bournemouth. Fantastic for them and their new owners. Although sacking Grant McCann today was unbelievable, but that's Hull's regime. That's how the owners want to do it. That's how they want to do it. But in terms of Bournemouth, Parker looked like a broken man after the game.
Oh no.
And anyway, I did watch the interview, and I did sort of chuckle to myself because, Bournemouth had all their chances. Solanke missed a big header. Marcondes hit the post. I mean, they had some really decent chances, but end of the day, we look the more crucial, we look the more ruthless team, and we're taking our chances. Bournemouth are not. And like Blackburn winning last night, yeah, it was a bit annoying, but it's also like we're 8 points clear of a team in Bournemouth who are probably most likely to catch us or compete with us. Add on goal difference, and I think that's 9 points. And well, because our goal difference is so superior over them, and it just gets that little bit of comfort, and like you can kind of breathe and go, oh, you know what, we do have some space here. And actually, Bournemouth got to go to Barnsley on Saturday, and Barnsley are in desperate need of a win. They played okay against Birmingham. They came back into the game, but Birmingham, by then, the game was pretty much already done. And I just wonder, 3 o'clock kickoff, if they drop points again and we get another 3, I think it could be, in terms of Bournemouth, done. And I genuinely feel like, I was talking to Gab Sutton and a few of the, a Bournemouth fan and a Blackburn fan last week about who's going to finish in the playoffs. And I said Fulham, Bournemouth top 2, but you know what? If they don't pick up any points soon, I don't know why I'm whispering, but if they don't pick up any
It's not
points
a
soon,
secret, Jack.
then they could be in real trouble. And I think maybe a playoff, and maybe West Brom will start getting a little bit more, and QPR. It's quite a fascinating race for top 2. I genuinely think, I don't think the title's done. I don't think we're going to necessarily go up right now. I think we will, but it's not a foregone conclusion. Joe, I'm getting too excited. I'm too
No,
giddy.
carry on.
You have
But
to
it's
calm me down. But I'm very excited by the 8-point gap that we
course.
have over Bournemouth. Blackburn's win last night was good. I still see them as a threat, but good stuff from Fulham and good stuff from Hull City.
Yeah, thank you, Hull, for your service this week. Not
It's a
once,
week.
but twice. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. The Tigers, everyone's getting mauled by them. Hopefully not us in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, of
But
course.
I think you make some great points there. And Blackburn, Middlesbrough, I watched that game last night. Blackburn missing a few key players, so I don't want to judge them too much in it, but I actually thought they were very poor. I didn't think either side was great. And on the basis of that, I don't think either of those teams catches us. I'm not saying they won't get top 2, either of them. Middlesbrough have been on a great run recently, and if they can carry it on over the second half of this season, which they could, even despite that result yesterday, they are also a threat for top 2. Definitely the playoffs, but potentially top 2. QPR at the time of filming, if they win tonight, they will actually go above Bournemouth,
Oh.
which would push Bournemouth down to 4th place. And they would have played a game less than Blackburn, but they would have played the same amount of games as QPR. And
Yeah.
that is a huge change. They were top before we played Bristol City. They were top before that Luton game. That was only 2 games ago. It's huge. And
Mentally as well.
psychologically, that's
Yeah.
it's crazy. I want to say about Bournemouth, their next league game is against Barnsley, who you might have seen some of the stats this week, are at this stage of the season the worst championship team in history without points deductions. They have
Wow.
been unbelievably poor, and I think it's actually gone under the radar. So it's a huge banana skin, but equally you could look at it as the perfect next game for a team that's been in a bad run of form. And if they don't win that, serious questions have got to be asked of Scott Parker. As it goes, I think they will win that just because Barnsley are so poor. Then again, West Brom went there last month and had a Very
0-0.
dodgy 0-0 draw. So let's get back to Fulham. Let's get back to Fulham and let's talk about this Blackpool game, which it looks like is going ahead. I know there was some doubt a while ago due to international call-ups. What I want, Jack, is I want your team news, but what I want to assume is that for the sake of this, there's no Mitrovic and no Wilson, because I think it's fair to say, especially with Bobby away on international duty, Wilson would come straight back in if he was well, and so would Mitrovic. Let's say they're not there. We're also missing Bobby. We're also missing Seri. We're also missing Robinson. Tete's injured. What are we going to
Oh
do?
God, yeah. Yeah, the Tete injury was the one downer. I thought
Yeah,
he just got a bad hit in the you know what's it, but
yeah,
he actually came off worse. And it's frustrating because Tete's been riddled with injuries since he's joined Fulham, and he was really getting a good run in the team, and he's good. But okay, so this is tough because
yeah,
obviously Ream's in. He didn't get called up to the United
yeah.
States of America. Did Hector get called up?
No, he didn't.
Hector didn't. Okay. So we'll go with Rodak in goal. We'll go from left to right. We'll go Brian comes back in. Big game for him. Could
Yeah.
probably, take Robertson's place if he has a good game, and Robertson might have to work his way back in the team. And then Ream Tosin, easy. And then right back, Adoy. I mean, I'm not. Who are we playing? Blackpool. Well, they didn't Adoy play at Bloomfield Road. He got a bit of the runaround.
He did. He did. I mean,
Like,
the goal came from the left side that day. I think it was Robinson that was quite poor, but
yeah, it was
I
Robinson.
remember. I remember Adoy getting skinned as well. It's a
He
weird one,
skinned.
Adoy. I thought he actually did well at Stoke until added time. Sorry, just before added time when the winger that Stoke have got, I can't pronounce his name. I apologise. On loan from Aston Villa came on
Mm.
and skinned him about 4 times in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a worry. But Adoy comes in. I think he's more than capable at
Yeah.
this level. That's fine. And then we'll have TC and Reed. We've got a whole week to train, so that'll be good. And then it gets tricky because then you've got Carvalho plays in the whole happy days, and then you got Neeskins, Cabano, Rodrigo Muniz, and then who do you play on that right hand side? I mean,
You know who it's got to be. I mean, it's going to have
is
to
it
be Knockout,
Anthony?
isn't it? It's going to have to be Anthony.
Oh, I can't believe it.
I mean, as
Okay,
it goes,
Anthony Knockout.
we could be saying this, and Wilson could come back in, and if Wilson's fit, he comes straight back in the team. So does
Yeah.
Mitrovic. No offense to Muniz, who did great, but I'd have to go with the same. The Tete injury, Jack, has opened up a bit of a can of worms. Marco Silva said that we don't need a new right back. That was before this injury, and it was before the injury in August. That was only a couple of days before the end of the window, as we remember. He went off injured against Hull, I think, and we had about a week of the window left. Now he's gone off injured against Stoke in an injury that looks, from the sounds of it, it'll be at least a couple of weeks from the words and the way he was describing the injury. Do we need a new right back?
Sadly, yes, but it could be one of those 6-month loan deals.
Okay.
Let's just send Dom Keener back. I don't think Keener's going to get in the team anytime soon. So then at least we have a loan space to bring in. I don't know whether we're in full capacity of that, but it's worth noting. And then you bring in a right back, maybe someone from the Premier League who's a youngster, or maybe I can't think of any names right now. But Joe, we're going to be sitting here on Monday. It's actually quite good because it will coincide with a Blackpool reaction. But it is
Yeah,
our deadline day stream, and I don't think we're going to have
of
anything
course.
to talk about at this stage in terms of incomings. But you never know with Fulham or deadline day. So yeah, I suppose, do we need a new right back? I don't think Adoy, in Tete's absence, could play Saturday, Tuesday, especially coming up against the Manchester City team in a couple of weeks' time as well. So yeah, I would be all for a new right back. Could we recall Cyrus Christie? I don't think that was going to happen. Could we put in Steven Sessegnon? Could happen,
Could
but I
happen.
don't think it will.
I
But
guess
yeah,
the way
it's
we've
worth
got to
noting.
look at this is that we have lost Fossey, we have lost Christie, both by our choice. We've now lost Tete, so we've got Adoy and we've got Steven Sessegnon, as you say, who hasn't really been fancied at all by
No.
Marco Silva. We've got to say, I don't know why that would suddenly change. Bobby Reed was filling in there before Steven Sessegnon was, and Bobby Reed is away, so we don't even have that option. So on the bench behind Adoy, we currently don't we don't have anyone because I don't think he's going to fancy Steven Sessegnon all of a sudden. Um, it's a weird situation. I feel like we have to realise that we're likely to get promoted, and next season, Odoi, let's face it, we've seen him in the Premier League before. It doesn't work.
It will be a priority signing, won't it?
It'll be
Right
a
back.
priority. So can we look ahead now? I saw shouts for Ryan Fredericks. I
Get him
saw
back.
shouts for other youngsters from the Premier League. Um, I saw shouts for John Joe Kenny. Let's nip that in the bud right now because I don't think he's good enough, in my opinion. We signed him and he proved me wrong, great. But from what I've seen of him for Everton, not impressed at all. Um, I feel like the Reggie Cannon links will come back, but we've got to remember that he has also been called up to the USA squad, who
Oh
are
right, yeah.
also away right now. So I don't know how that would work in terms of a transfer. Um, I feel like there will be at least links to right backs between now and the end of the window. And I think there's got to be because the way we play, great Peter Rutzler piece on Marco Silva and how he likes his fullbacks. Odoi is not that guy. And when he's filled in, he's great. But over the course of a few games now, he's going to have to play against Manchester City. He's going to have to play all the games that we've got back to back at the start of February, where we've got Saturday, Tuesday again. I don't even think I can't remember his age, in his 30s. I don't know if he can hack that. Um, unless Tete's back soon, we have to realise that even when we get promoted, if and when, sorry, um, Tete's injury record is not great, and we need someone behind him that is good enough because this is a regular occurrence now, and it's not his fault. And I love the guy, and I think he's great. We have to prepare for the fact that he's going to get injured a few times a season, sadly, a bit like a Harrison Reed. And we can't have a Doy in the Premier League filling in for him, in my opinion. So, interesting one. We haven't really had any links to any other players. It's all quite quiet on the transfer front. One bit of news that broke just before we started recording is a new
Yes.
contract for Jay Stansfield, which, Jack, I think is fantastic news.
It's great news. It's good news in the sense that we're like, oh, okay, so we do know how to tie players down to a new contract. That's great.
Yeah,
We haven't forgotten that. And you know what the comments are like. Everyone's like, "Oh, great, but where's Carvalho?
next.
Where's his
Yeah,
contract?" But I think Carvalho is one that it could go, right to the wire in terms of will he sign, won't he sign. But let's concentrate on Jadon Stansfield for a bit because we were talking just before we started recording about how didn't get a chance in the cup. He's been on the bench a couple of times in the last couple of games when we've been, like 7-0 up or 6-2 up, and he hasn't come on. Does that speak volumes that he needs a loan? And I was saying to you how players sign a contract and then get, well, especially at Chelsea, they always sign a contract and then get shipped out on loan. And I think that somewhere in League One, League Two would actually really benefit Jay Stansfield, get some minutes under his belt, get some goals in his boots, and fill him with a bit of confidence. Because, if we do go up, and he's not going to be our number one striker, is he? He'd probably be our number 2, number 3, maybe even number 4. So, and this is the disappointing thing about, when we're like this, you never really know where you stand. Pardon the pun. So I think Jay Stansfield could get a 6-month loan in League Two this season for the rest of the season, and then get a whole season's loan in League One or League Two or even the Championship next season. You never know. Someone might take a punt on him. And I think that would really benefit him. Would I love to see more homegrown players come in and play for the first team? Absolutely. Be brilliant. But at the moment, the model that Fulham are occupying at the moment, where we're going up and hopefully we don't go back down. Oh, we're not even up yet, but crikey, touching all the wood. But I just don't want youth players to see leaving the club as an option or running down their contract, because that's what we're seeing at the moment with a brilliant player in Fabio Carvalho, who has the world at his feet at Fulham. And that's what frustrates me so much about him not signing on the contract, because he knows he's got his place here. I've already said it in this video, and that's frustrating. Joe, it made me laugh when you were talking about the Dennis Odoi situation, because it's like we're talking, but because the club don't have any idea about what's going on, like they're oblivious to the fact we need a new right back. I'm sure they're talking about it, but if we want a flying right back in till the end of the season, just Ryan Fredericks there. Honestly, he would be perfect in this system. Could you imagine?
yeah.
He'd just bomb it and then just play balls to Mitrovic and he'll just tap them in. I mean,
He'd
Adoy's got a
be
good cross in him.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
Odoi, and a
he would
great
be the
cross the other
perfect
day
fit.
against Birmingham for the Cabano goal.
Exactly. And
First
against Swansea
Cabano
earlier this
goal.
season as well.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
thing about the Stansfield, just wanted to add on.
Yeah,
He's been on the bench the last few games, which is great. Hasn't had any actual game time, but at least he's been involved. The problem is, in being involved with the first team and being on the bench, he hasn't been playing for the under 23s, which means he actually hasn't been playing any football.
minutes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's great that he's involved, but he's not playing. And Muniz is ahead of him, and I understand that he was the signing. But if that's the case, then I think Stansfield's got to minimum be involved with the under 23s again, or preferably go out on loan somewhere, as you say, and get some professional minutes, because that is the only way that players are going to improve. Being with the first team is great, but if you're not actually playing any game time, sitting on the bench and watching is not going to help. Me and you do that, and I'm still crap. Do you know what I mean?
We just
It's
stand.
it's one of
Yeah,
yeah, training with him fantastic. I'm sure it's a great experience, but
yeah.
um, he needs to play football, and I'm hoping that at least if he's on the bench in the future, he'll get some minutes off the bench. But I think what he needs is to go out on loan, like Terry Ablade has done. Um, at the moment, don't think he's starting for Wimbledon, but at least he's coming on. At
Coming off
least
the
he's
bench. Yeah.
going to try and hopefully get a first team place at some point soon in terms of the starting 11. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about these contract situations all day, but it does frustrate me. What this does show is it's not that hard to sign, and I really hope that some other players start to sign soon because, not just Carvalho, Francois, if he wants to hang around,
Hmm.
is going to be out of contract. Jack, I think before we wrap up, we should just get some score predictions for this Blackpool
Ooh.
game. Banana skin because of the situation and because they beat us earlier in the season. I said it last week. I said it the week before. I cannot bet against Fulham when we're playing like this and we're getting results like this. So I'm going to go for another win. I'm not backing us to keep a clean sheet at the moment. I know we didn't
No.
really talk about that, but let's keep it positive. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Fulham victory.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3-1. I could see
Yeah.
them scoring, and I could see us scoring more than two.
Yeah.
I'm wearing tangerine today, which probably doesn't bode too
Oh,
well.
no.
But look, I think what did they won 1-0
They
over
beat
Millwall at the
Millwall.
weekend,
Yeah.
didn't they? Yeah, good manager Neil Critchley knows what he's doing, going to keep them up, and Blackpool hopefully, I think they're a good club. Obviously, after the Oyston debacle, hopefully they can stabilise in the Championship and maybe make a push back to the Premier League. But unfortunately, I want them to lose to Fulham, and I want to extend that lead at the top of the table. So even if Bournemouth do win against Barnsley, they go, "Oh, Fulham won again." You have to try and catch them again. So hopefully Fulham could come away with the 3 points. And Joe, I think that's it today. It's been a
I
really
think
fun
so.
one because I thought Stoke away was absolute class.
Let's keep the good times going and hope that we win against Blackpool. And then obviously, I'm sure next week we'll be talking all about Manchester City,
Oh yes.
which is the big one. And they fell to Southampton. Can they fall to Fulham? Let's see.
Are you going to the Etihad?
I'm not, sadly, not this time. I've got memories of the fan cam from a couple of
Oh
years
yeah.
ago, Jack, when we were all so excited when we won a corner early doors, and about 5 seconds later, Sane was reeling away after tapping in. So something different to that, please.
Yes. Next Monday, we will be live discussing Blackpool reaction transfers because it is deadline day and of course that Manchester City game. So a nice bumper episode, and hopefully we'll have a few sprinklings of some late rumours going in. I reckon. I mean, I remember last time we went live and we went right to the deadline, which was really exciting. But maybe depending on what happens in the day, we can potentially just liaise, and we should have this
Yeah.
conversation off air. We always have it on air.
I mean,
But we
here's the
should.
thing, Jack. I remember in the build up to the January deadline day last season. I know it was a bit different. The
Yeah.
the talk was we're not going to sign anyone, and it was even stated by Parker that there's not going to be anyone through the door. Deadline day happens, and you open the Bird app at the bright early time of 6 a.m. and Josh King's a rumor, and Josh Madge is a rumor,
Oh
and everything's going
gosh.
on, and Cabano's off, and Kamara's off. It's just crazy. So let's see what happens.
There's always going to be
We
something.
we will be going live either way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because we've got things to talk about. Doesn't matter what Fulham do. So let's leave it there. What a
Yeah,
fantastic few weeks this has been for Fulham. Honestly, it's been. We talk about the Slav days, but this has been superb. Honestly, the goals, the vital wins. And of course, Bournemouth losing as well. Huge, huge for us. Joe, thanks so much for being here, mate.
Thanks a lot, Jack. And thanks everyone for watching. Let's keep the good times going.
Yeah, come on, Fulham. We'll see you Saturday for a pint of beer in the concourse. Come on, Fulham.